All right, looks like I am broadcasting now over on the 15 minutes of flame side of things, and I should be ramping up here on YouTube at any moment now. Welcome to today's show. This is Robert Phoenix, broadcast to you live from Fredericksburg, and of course I'm joined by the side cat, Jasper, who's right down here on the lower right. The lower right. I think that could be a good name for a rock band. The lower right. How is everybody this morning? We're going to do a short, sharp shock show today. We had an epic 2-hour live stream last night over on YouTube, looking at the number of birthdays that take place on this day, which is May 6th, and not just any birthday, but epic birthdays. It was crazy. We got into a bunch of stuff last night. It was a fun show. If you missed it, you can always go over to YouTube and check it out. And it's almost as good as being there live. Of course, you don't have the #1 chat room on YouTube to hang out with at that live moment in time, but the content is there nonetheless. All right, so the co-producer of the show wants to get in on it, so here he comes. So come on up here. Let's go. Come on. We have a short show today. Let's go. Come on up. You can see the ears, right? Down there. Come on. Your fans are waiting for you. The adoring public is waiting for you. Okay. Take your time. Got all the time in the world. You know what I'm talking about. It's Jasper. He's right down here. Well, let's get into today's show a little bit. So I think the big news pieces are the two jets. There are three big news pieces today. The two jets that had very unceremonious landings. One of which, the one in Russia, was kind of odd. Some of the footage of that flight was very strange, to say the least. People running around with their luggage as the plane burned. Then the other jet that crashed was a charter jet that comes in and out of Guantanamo Bay. Here he is. Come on, get up here. Let's go. Assume the position. There he is. Want to say hi to everybody? So he sang happy birthday to Jasper last night. Jasper, I think, is 10. He's getting up there in cat years, but he's still pretty spry for an old guy. Jasper's my model, my role model for aging. Right, Jasper? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. There he is. Okay, I have to work now. I have to work. Here, go behind the computer. He likes hanging out behind the computer. It's nice and warm back there. Go behind the computer. So we have this jet that crashed into a river just on the other side of the Jacksonville airport. It is a private jet, charter jet, and it brings people back and forth from Guantanamo. Thanks, Steve and Chris, for the early morning wake-up video. That was really interesting. And the on board the jet was a woman by the name of Carolyn Borman. And Carolyn Borman happens to be one of the counsel for the guys who were still doing time in Guantanamo for 9/11. She's still going down there. They're still involved in legal proceedings with these characters down in Guantanamo. And apparently Carolyn Borman happens to be related to Martin Bormann, the Nazi. And as we all know, most of the Nazis got away. You know, Hitler spent most of his life in Argentina and part of it in Brazil after the war. And Ava Braun was there. I had Harry Cooper on my show a long time ago, and Harry got into this. It was a great show. Harry, if you haven't found Harry Cooper, he is the world's foremost expert on the exodus of the Nazis coming out of World War II and the relocation of their status to South America. So anyway, Carolyn Borman was on that flight. This was a Guantanamo-based plane, or plane that is flying in and out of Guantanamo on a fairly frequent basis. So we had that. That came through, and then the Russian flight. Those are the two kind of big stories. Also, I talked about the explosion in Gurnee, Illinois, that happened over the weekend. It was a big freaking explosion, and they're basically uh, intimating that this was foul play. This is what happened with that explosion. It was a chemical processing plant, huge explosion, significant. Another interesting little news item that crossed my path today was the fact that the New Orleans Times Picayune, which was the daily New Orleans Daily newspaper, was bought by a rival newspaper. I believe it was the New Orleans Advocate, which is a weekly newspaper. Anyway, they bought the Times Picayune and then fired everybody. They've got 60 days. Now, they can rehire staff. It would probably behoove them to rehire some of the staff, but of course, the staff will come century now. We'll buy you out, we'll fire you, we'll hire you, pay you less. You know why? Because it's a really good chance that you're not going to get a job anywhere else, especially in the newspaper business. So that made headlines. It's kind of a dark headline. It's not anything to feel real excited about, unless of course you're an aspiring media mogul and you've got a paper on the cheap that you could then put into place and make it a part of your own empire. Of course, the guy that runs the Advocate also, I believe, has aspirations for New Orleans politics and for governor. Anyway, today's headline has also to do with shadow banning, and the shadow ban is real. It's a real thing. There's the shadow ban, and then there's the outright ban, and this is kind of a continuation of last week's show when I talked about that website Poynter, Poyntr, which has since that page has since been taken down. So if you remember last week, we talked about how there were 515 websites that were targeted by Poynter. Jasper.com was not one of them. You are in a very, very friendly mood today. He's in a very friendly mood today. He's got to have his own show. This has become kind of your own show in some ways. That's what I think. The problem, but I need a 2-camera shoot so people can see your handsome face. Anyway, that website Poynter, that page Poynter, got taken down, and I'll tell you why it got taken down. Anytime you have David Duke on a web page, and there are other websites associated with David Duke, those websites will raise holy hell. Okay, and they had 2 websites on Poynter that I can think of that were a real mistake. Not just from a content side of things, but from a political side of things. Number one, they had David Wolf. DavidWolf.com was on Poynter. Just one slot below David Duke. Just because there are a couple of Davids, I guess it's like, okay, well, we'll put them on here. David Wolf has nothing to do with David Wilcock. I'm sorry, David Duke. David Wilcock didn't make the list, by the way. If I was David Wilcock, I'd be pissed. And he's probably thinking, no, we didn't make the list. Isn't that great? Our mission is being fulfilled. So David Wolf, if I was David Wolf and I saw that, I would figure out who those people were in a heartbeat. And I would threaten to sue them without any remorse. Do you think he was the only one if that actually did happen? Because if it didn't, then David's not paying attention. But that's really, really bad for his business. No matter what you think of David Wolf, or no matter what you think of David Duke, that's bad for business. So we had that on that page, Poynter, Poyntr. The other website that was on there was Gaia. And if you know anything about Gaia, and you know anything about Yurka, who runs Gaia, Does not suffer fools gladly. He will sue your ass in a heartbeat. He's got the resources, the wherewithal, and the smarts to do that. And if I were Pointer or any other website, I'd be very hesitant to include Gaia in any kind of a list. And I'm not sitting here shilling for Gaia because I had a show there at one point in time. I'm just telling you the facts. And the Pointer list, while very ambitious, was kind of a reverse McCarthyism. And that's where we are right now. We're in this kind of era of reverse McCarthyism. Is it interesting how during the McCarthy era, it was the Reds that were getting outed, but now it's like people who were trying to tell the truth who are getting outed. You know why? Because the McCarthy era Reds won. They actually won during that time. They won. Think about that. They had their little dog and pony show. They sacrificed a few script writers. Paul Robeson, Ronald Reagan got in on the act. He eventually became president of the United States. It tells you everything you need to know about Reagan in some ways, right? So the Reds won. And now they're the ones that have been defining the narrative and still continue to define the narrative. Along the shadow ban lines, James Woods has gotten shadow banned from, not even shadow banned, outright banned from Twitter for a week, whatever. Everybody's crying, poo, poo, poo. You know, he's lame ass. I mean, Woods is actually a really bright guy. He's very funny. A lot of his tweets are hilarious. You know, it was an okay tweet, whatever. But they decided they were going to ban him for a week. And this is important, though, because what's happening is that, again, you may say that there is no difference between the left and the right. And to some extent, there is, right? No difference in some ways. Sometimes there is a bit of a difference, but it's negligible. And that candidates are selected, not elected. In many cases, that's true. But there's always the potential of having kind of a wild card moment, or, you know, which is what I think happened with Trump, because he was not supposed to win. Well, some people say, well, he was supposed to win. Whatever. We can debate this. What do you think, Jasper? Who do you think should have won that election? I think Jasper was a Trump guy. Kind of, he has the same hair color as Trump. What do you think? I don't know about the hairstyle. I think Jasper's got a better hairstylist. Anyway, but what's happened now, of course, is Facebook has banned InfoWars. They banned Paul Joseph Watson. They did ban Louis Farrakhan, to be fair about it. They banned him. You know, wait till the guys in bow ties start showing up at Facebook headquarters. That'll be interesting. Those guys can be a little imposing at times, right? Anyway, they banned Farrakhan, Paul Joseph Watson. They banned Alex Jones, and the banning is a very real thing, because in anticipation of 2020, they don't want that shit happening again. Because I'll tell you what the so-called right, or the so-called conservatives, or the so-called truther community does really well. Does two things really well. They do YouTube really well, and they do memes really well. The left are shit at memes. The left are not. The left don't understand memes. But of course, they want to ban memes. That's part of their thing, because apparently John Ernest was radicalized by memes. Memes apparently radicalize people. I don't get it. I mean, I guess on some level, since it is Sigmund Freud's birthday, we're dealing with the realm of the subconscious. I guess I kind of get it. But anyway, they want to ban the memes. The meme rate. Go find your spot. Come on. Go hang out over there. There he goes. He's got to. I've been up all morning, right? All morning, hanging out. Fed him on the couch, hanging out with me. Now he's got to come in here and get involved. It's like that wasn't enough. Oh, he's pissed at me. Look at him. He's moving the set around. He's actually a happy cat. Anyway, so this is a big. You know, they're trying to. California now apparently wants to keep Trump off of the poll. Not the poll, but the ballot. They want to keep Trump off the ballot. California wants to keep Trump off the ballot. Can you believe that? They want him off the ballot for 2020 because of his tax returns. Colorado's trying to do the same thing. So we have these states across the United States now that are getting into, it's not even just shadow banning, they just want to ban him from the political process. This is a really sad state of affairs. I mean, it's totally sad that we've gotten to this point. But again, as part of the deconstruction phase, it's to be I don't know, factored in. It's happening. It's happening. The structures that we know are disassembling. Look at the Kentucky Derby. Look what happened. It was just a regular race. A little bit of bumping at the end, and 22 minutes later, Maximum Security is no longer the champion of the Kentucky Derby. We're living in a wild time. We're living in a world, in an era where high strange attraction, synchronicity, it's really kind of off the charts, and some of it's not all that great, but it can actually give us some insight if we're paying attention. I was over at this other website today, checking out some stuff. This guy Jim Stone, some of you may know who he is. He's kind of a radical. Look, Jim Stone, I don't think he does anything really different or radical. I mean, he recirculates and regurgitates a bunch of news that is kind of out there and on the edge, which a lot of people do. And he's talking about how they have turned off his phone. I believe he lives in Mexico, and that's where he has his website, runs his business, whatever his business is. And apparently he can't get phone calls for business. Now, if this is indeed true, it is problematic because it strikes to the heart of what's going to happen with people and their ability to earn a living, make a living. We've already seen that there have been businesses that have been banned from banking. If they're deemed to be too conservative or too hateful or too fill in the blank, you have your bank account canceled. PayPal cancels people. This is very problematic. And now, according to Jim Stone, those phones are being shadow banned. You can't get any business calls, which is kind of wild if you really think about it. This is the time that we're in, and it is, at the very least, it's an interesting time. It's not an easy time, but in the realm of ideas where people are fighting for legitimacy with ideas, it's to be expected. I ran across a headline today that I wanted to share with you, which was very, very interesting. And this has to do with Venezuela. And, again, I listen to a lot. I listen to the radio in my car. I don't get a lot of really good music stations out here. So what I do is I do listen to sort of the occasional talk radio. And this is really interesting. This is from Press TV, which is Iranian, based in Iran. But it's okay. It's better than CNN. So this is an interesting headline. Trump contradicts Bolton Pompeo, a military option against Venezuela. So is there trouble? Is there trouble in the White House? U.S. President Donald Trump has contradicted his national security team on pushing for a military intervention against Venezuela, saying he and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin share the goal of a peaceful end to the crisis in the Central American nation. It's actually not Central America, it's South America. Central America is just above Venezuela. I know. I'm parsing over small details. He is not looking at all to get involved in Venezuela, other than he'd like to see something positive happen for Venezuela, and I feel the same way. We want to get some humanitarian aid. Right now, people are starving, Trump told reporters on Friday. Trump's reference to Russia's hands-off approach towards Venezuela stands in contrast to insistence by his Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, that Russia is part of the problem in Caracas. Pompeo claimed earlier last week that President Venezuela, Russia persuaded him to stay. In its description of the Trump-Putin conversation, the Kremlin said Putin stressed the need to respect Venezuela's right to determine their own future. Right? We got an issue here with Chrome. Then I started talking about shadow banning. My Chrome browser goes nuts. Let me go over to here we go. So what's happening? The stream today is horrible, by the way. I'm pixelating all over the place, and I am directly in on the. Let me see if I do this. Let's try this. See if this is better. I've jacked into the Wi-Fi, and hold on. Let's see if we can get this here. But it looks like I'm talking through a dial-up line. This is terrible, terrible stream today. Am I being shadow banned? God, awful, 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 awful. Not good. Let's see what we got going on here. No, and my browser is still in stuck mode. Let's see. It's a little bit better now. This is crazy, man. Like I'm hardwired into the router, and I'm still getting uber pixelation and all this stuff. Latency, lag time. I can't even get into the chat room now. It sucks. Start talking about shadow banning, and guess what happens? You get kind of shadow banned from your own experience. Bummer. I'm trying everything I know right now so I can get out of the browser. Hi, strange. Let me go back over to Firefox. See what's happening over here. Yeah, this is bad. It's like I'm on a dial-up account. Sucks. Anyway, all right. Why don't I get on out of here? Because the UI or the UE, the user experience, user interface, is not looking very good. So let me get on out of here. Let me end today's live stream. If you haven't seen last night's live stream, check it out. It was really fun, great energy, and a lot of good info there. So I'm sorry that I can't have more of a connected time today in terms of. All right, here we go. Finally, can I finally change this thing? No, it doesn't look like it's happening. All right, I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna get on out of here. I'm gonna get on. So get ready. The ending for today's live stream will be a little abrupt. I apologize, but it feels like my stream is being compromised a bit. What it feels like, I have to say. I'm trying not to be paranoid. All right, so use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. I will not be doing a live show tomorrow. I'll be headed off to California to hang out with the old gal, and but I will be doing the Friday Farcast from California. I'll probably be doing at least one or two shows from there because probably get a better screen about that. All right, use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. I apologize for the glitchy, and that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Monday. Ciao.